God has been putting it heavy on my heart to talk about the reasons why you should wait till marriage, even if you're not into religion or you don't believe in God. Let me be so clear, this is coming from somebody who did not wait till marriage, and I am not trying to come off as a hypocrite. I'm not trying to judge anybody based on their experiences. It's actually quite the opposite. I'm trying to hopefully protect somebody from hurting themselves in such a way, because the way that I feel about myself is very different than I previously felt about myself. So a little bit of backstory. I was a virgin up until literally 9 months ago. I'm 22 years old, okay? I was 21 years old, still a virgin. And the reason being was because I had been put in many compromising positions with men, and I didn't feel very comfortable putting myself in such a vulnerable position with somebody I didn't trust, okay? And so I made it very clear in every relationship that I entered that I was waiting to do this with somebody that I really trusted. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, because now I get to sit here and give you perspective, I was put in another compromising position with somebody who pretended to be somebody that they're not. And that's reason number one, because anybody can act like a certain version of themselves for a period of time so that they can get into your pants. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. I'm not trying to bring in big words. I'm not trying to bring in anything that's scientific. I'm speaking on simply emotion right now. And not my emotion, but the emotions that will come up when you experience such a thing. Building a foundation of trust in a relationship is literally the most important thing that you can do. Because as a woman especially, you are not going to be aroused in that way if there's not emotional intimacy. At least speaking from somebody who is very spiritual, I need that emotional connection with somebody and to feel safe with them, to even put myself in a position of engaging in that contact and enjoying it. Also, let me be so clear, we're getting real personal. So if you're not ready for that, please keep scrolling. When you build a foundation of trust with somebody, you're more likely to speak up when you don't like something, which makes everything better. Hopefully y'all are able to fill in the blanks, because I don't want to be too forward, but I also don't want to beat around the bush too much. Next point, supply and demand. Think about it in business terms. We, as humans, should acknowledge how sacred our energy is. The less you exchange it, the more valuable you are. Or the more value you hold yourself to, I should say. It's not like in the world you're any less valuable because you have done this, and this with another person. I'm not here to judge you, but it shows how much you respect yourself and how much self-control you have. And I know that's very controversial, and if you disagree, to each their own, but this is my perspective. I'm speaking on my personal experience and trying to hopefully give other people perspective on theirs. If you disagree with me, disagree respectfully. When you avoid having sex before marriage, you are also avoiding unneeded heartbreak. You are not putting yourself in a position to be left quickly, okay? When you're married to somebody, there has to be conflict resolution. And so if a conflict arises, it takes two to resolve that. A lot of relationships nowadays end fairly quickly because as soon as conflict arises, they're unaware of how to resolve that. So instead, they choose the easy route, and the easy route is saying, peace out, baby. When you're married, you have to jump through hoops to end that marriage. And a lot of the time, people do see that it's easier to resolve conflict, and that could bring you closer to your partner and even enhance this area of your life. I don't know about y'all, but I am not attracted to people who lack self-control. And so now this energy that I'm in, where it's I get to tell people confidently, oh, I'm waiting for marriage now. I'm not a virgin, but I'm still waiting for marriage now. I want somebody to respect my body. I want them to respect my choices. And hopefully you're even making the same choices as me without me forcing them onto you. Getting this conversation out of the way, I feel honestly just weeds out all of the bad anyway, because it's okay, well, you don't like that, bye. You do like that? Okay, we can talk a little bit more. If you say something I don't appreciate down the line, then we can try to resolve that. And if there's no resolution, then that's it. I feel for so long I was overcomplicating things because I felt I needed to say, I'm waiting for somebody I trust. And then people try to become somebody you trust. And in your head, you start questioning, like, maybe this could be the person, maybe it couldn't be. But there was no, like, long-term commitment or validation or background to provide the truth about the situation. And in the end, like, when you are in an intimate situation with somebody you don't truly trust or you're not going to be with long term, you regret it. I know men get this, like, post-clarity, and girls don't really talk about this, but we do too. When you're getting into the moment with somebody, it's like, okay, this is fun while it lasts, but what am I going to do afterwards when I feel like I'm used by this person who doesn't actually value my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit? And let me be so clear, people can be used both ways. This isn't just women, this isn't just men. It's very reciprocal. Like, women can use men can use women. I feel like nowadays we hear people talking about, like, being used, and we automatically assume that it's like men using women, when in reality, I've talked to a lot of men who have felt used by women as well. I think one of the biggest issues we have nowadays is, like, this pressure to commit quickly or to lose our virginity because it's almost seen as, like, embarrassing to have, especially when you're older. It's so funny because now that I'm almost 23, I'm like, I'm not that old. Like, I'm not young. I have a lot of life experience, but I'm not that old. Like, I've only been on this earth for 23 years, and from when I was, like, 14 years old, people were, like, pressuring me into these situations where it's like, ew. Like, I think about having children all the time. I love kids. But it's like, I can't imagine, like, having a daughter and her being pressured to, like, have sex. Or even adults around, like, being like, oh, like, have you done this? Have you done that? Like, it's just, like, we are way too interested in people's sex lives nowadays. We need to start turning the focus on how people feel emotionally. We should value the emotional experience so much more than this physical experience. Because where does fulfillment stem from? Does it stem from something physical, tangible, temporary? Or does it stem from the emotional experience? Another plus is you won't have to risk getting an STD because hopefully you'll know your husband or your wife's background. Or getting pregnant. Oh my gosh. This is the part where it gets funny because I have OCD. Y'all, I have OCD. And so me doing this, I was like, literally for months after, I was like, what if I'm pregnant? Like, literally, what if I'm pregnant? I was not pregnant. I literally don't even know if I'm fertile. Like, honestly, could not be fertile. A lot of weird things happened to me when I was a kid. But it's like imagine me with a baby on my hip right now. Hell effing no. Imagine you with a baby on your hip right now. I have thought about it. And just because my first experience wasn't like cherries and the pot of gold, the end of the rainbow, unicorns, all that jazz, doesn't mean that I should be putting myself in compromising positions to try to, like, one up that. I feel like people do it once and they assume, like, okay, well, I've already done it, so, like, might as well do it again. That just made me want to do it less. This is my personal experience I'm speaking on as well. Like, me doing it that first time did not make me more curious in that way. Not that I don't think about it, but it's like, do I want to risk, like, getting pregnant or getting AIDS or, like, I don't know. To each their own, honestly. I feel like at this point, people are going to make their own decisions, but I also need to put my perspective out there because I felt so lost after I had experienced this, and it was just, like, disappointing overall because there was no reciprocal commitment. This guy that I had been with had already been with so many girls, like, too many girls. And, like, no judgment to him, honestly, because I put myself in that position as well. But it's like, girl, supply and demand, okay? I wish I was still a virgin. I wish I was. But you know what? I can't take it back now. And so hopefully I can protect you from feeling the need to take it back. If you don't follow through, that's fine too. I'm not here to judge you, babe. Can't be a hypocrite. I love you, Buki. Do better than me, please. And if you don't, protect yourself.